Crawlers. All right, we're here with the developer, and your name?
I'm George.
George.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, George?
So Starcrawlers is a sci-fi dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
In Explore mode, we're walking around like Wizardry or Legend of Grimrock. Grid-based movement, lots of things to interact with in the environment. Then we bump into an enemy, we switch over to JRPG-style turn-based combat. And that's where things get really crazy, because it's got a timeline, so instead of just taking your turn and that's it, you can actually do multiple attacks if you do multiple fast abilities, or one super heavy slow ability. So there's a lot of tactical movement in combat, trying to do combinations with your teammates.
Is it sort of like each move gives you so many action points or something like that?
Exactly, yeah. So like a cheap ability might cost 25 time units. So it puts you in the timeline sooner, so you get to act again sooner.
Now you said JRPG style. You were talking like Final Fantasy style?
Final Fantasy style, yeah. A lot like 7 or I think it was 8 had the active time unit abilities. And there's lots of events that pop up too. So you can see this gentleman's in Explorer mode. So he can run into traps. Actually, if he goes around the corner, he's going to bump into an enemy right... Nope, he's going to open and loot something instead. So there's tons of stuff to interact with the environment, lots of lootables, procedurally generated environments, and loot. So there's a lot of replayability. We try and keep it fresh every time you play it.
Oh, there we go. Get some combat going on here.
Yeah, here's some combat.
So combat still stays in the same view. It doesn't switch to like a...
It actually switches to a battle screen.
Okay.
The battle screen relates to the environment that you're in. So his active character is the engineer in the top left there. He's going to click on an enemy. It's going to pop up all the abilities you can choose from.
But you're still fighting in like a first-person mode. So
Yeah,
sort of
it's
like
all first-person view.
Wizardry and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Tell me a little bit about the lore.
So the lore is you're a team of what are called crawlers. So crawlers are basically space mercenaries. You work out on the fringes of space, and you're not the good guys. You're working for and against giant mega corporations. So they basically hire you to do their dirty work, plausible deniability. So you're taking contracts to raid different facilities that are owned by their enemies.
Right.
And while you're doing that, one of the cool things that we do is you accrue and lose rep with all these different factions. So depending on who you piss off or who you ally with, the game plays out very differently.
Reminds me a little bit of the Syndicate as far as that goes.
Yeah, a lot of inspiration from Shadowrun and Syndicate games like that.
Yeah, a lot of old school stuff going on here. I like that.
Yeah, so that's definitely the inspiration.
What engine are you guys using?
We're working in Unity 3D. We've been in development for about 2 years now, and we're launching at the end of the year.
Oh, that's soon.
Yeah.
All
We're in
right.
Steam Early Access too.
And how can people go and find out more about this?
If you go to starcrawlers.com or just go to Steam and search for Starcrawlers, you can find all about it and get access to the game.
All right, man. Thanks very much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. We found Devolver Digital. This is Jan. And that's Ruiner.
Yep.
Ruiner. What are you guys ruining?
Well, actually, the whole point of the game is ruining things. So the story, more or less, of the game is that it's an action cyberpunk game where you start off as a guard for a large corporation, and you are essentially screwed by some hacker who forces you to go through the area and attack people. And essentially, the whole game is you trying to figure out why you were screwed over and finding your brother who was lost during the scuffle when you were hacked. What you're actually ruining is you're going through all the people involved in the corporation and eliminating them one by one to find out where your brother is.
Don't want to give away too much of the story, but now I want to talk a little bit about the gameplay style. So, same sort of perspective. Well, I mean, it's not exactly straight over the top, just like Hotline Miami, but it kind of reminds me of, remember the old game Crusader? No Remorse and Crusader No Regret? Kind of reminds me of the same, isometric view style as that game. Do you guys pull any inspiration from that, or?
I'm not familiar with that game, but I can definitely say that Hotline Miami was a huge influence also for this game.
It looks like the gameplay slowed down a lot compared to like Hotline Miami and also that sort of thing.
First of all, it's definitely not a roguelike. It's a very linear story, very linear game. The core of the game is the dash mechanic. So as you'll probably see later in the tutorial, you can move forward very quickly using dashes. You can also place dashes around and quickly move around the battlefield. And so everything is kind of set around the fact it can move really quickly. While the gunplay, I argue, is very simple. You just have a few weapons and can shoot forward. The dash, with the addition of a few additional gadgets which you'll unlock throughout the course of the game, give for a lot of tactical combinations. And so the general idea is you either kill everyone in 5 seconds or you die.
It looks like you guys have hand-placed everything. This is not procedural, right?
No, this is going to be fully linear.
Now, you mentioned linear. Are there going to be any side quests that you can do?
Yeah, definitely. Most of the side quests will probably be located in the hub, just smaller missions, just more of exploring the city and understanding it than actual combat missions. The actual combat missions will be the ones involved in the main story.
How big is the game?
So we're currently planning the game. So this is the hub area of the city, and we're planning on expanding this a little bit for the final game. 7 environments, and each of these have 3 levels, which you'll be able to go through. So we're hoping for about 8 to 9 hours gameplay here.
And any multiplayer ideas or anything like co-op or anything like that, or just linear?
I don't
single
think
player.
that'll be a possibility, unfortunately.
All right. What platforms is this going to be on?
Currently, we're aiming for PC, but if the game sells well, we'll definitely consider doing PS4 and Xbox. We'll definitely add controller support, so that'll be one step already.
All right. Last question. What engine are you guys using?
Unreal Engine.
Unreal Engine. Very nice. We have a lot of developers. So, what sort of influenced your decisions to use Unreal?
I think the fact that we essentially have one main programmer on the team and 14 people working all together, most of them who are designers. So Unreal has the blueprint system, which is kind of a step between programming and being a designer, which lets most of our team be able to program the game to some degree.
Are you guys also using Artisy Draft to do some of your dialogue trees, or are you doing that all in the engine with blueprints?
All in the engine.
All in the engine. And when's this going to be available?
So we're currently aiming for fall 2016.
Where can people find out more information?
We have a website, ruinergame.com.
All right, thanks very much.
All right, I'm down here at Dragonfin Stoop, and I'm with Ash. And tell me a little bit about this game, and then we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes stuff.
Hey, well first, thanks for having me, and thanks for checking out Dragonfin Soup. So, Dragonfin is a procedurally generated tactical roguelike, but what we did, which is different, is we blended it with a kind of traditional story-based RPG. What we had to do with Dragonfin Soup was create a procedural engine, make sure that all the quests could be played in those procedurally generated worlds. So whereas some of the goals are the same, the layout, the gameplay is unique every single time.
Now, you said you had to create your own engine, so this is your own engine from scratch.
So what we did was for our framework, we started out with Cocos 2DX, and then we were able to build an engine, a roguelike engine. We had an engineer come on board and build it out for us. And then we ripped out all the UI guts and added in our own, and then just kind of changing things from there. So we started out with Cocos 2DX, all written in C++, and just kept building out what we needed to. This game, we started out 3 years ago, and back then Unity was rubbish. It was really bad. It wasn't good at 2D at all. And so when we made the choice to go Unity or roll our own engine, we decided to roll our engine because that way we're working directly in the code. If there's anything wrong, we can dive into code and fix it. Our big announcement we made was Dragonfin Soup Extra Chunky Edition, which is all the fixes and enhancements plus new content on Steam, and we're going to roll it out to everything. PSN, Xbox One, anything that we can get our hands on.
You kind of already answered my question, but I want to clarify. You said this is coming out on Steam, it's going to be on PSN, it's going to be on Xbox One, and are you going to put it on Mac at all?
Oh, absolutely. Mac, Linux, Fire TV, iOS, Android. It just takes time. There's only 5 of us.
All right, and one last question I got is, on a person's first playthrough, how long would they be expecting to be able to play before they finish and want to restart because it's roguelike and it's different?
Sure. So
if they don't die in 5 minutes.
If you're good and you played roguelikes before, playing through just story mode takes about 12 hours. Survival mode, over 30. Labyrinth mode is endless, but to unlock all the characters, about 8 hours.
All right, cool.
So it's a meaty game. There's a lot of depth. We have an online tutorial. We encourage everybody to check it out. You can see it both on our website, but also as soon as you fire up the game, you can kick it off. It's really in depth. I mean, and I'm talking in depth. It's like 45 minutes long. It goes into stats, it goes into magic, it goes into breakdown, it goes to building experience, movement, controls, the works. If anything, we made the mistake of making this game too deep.
And that's the way to do it. So I see we've got like Little Red Riding Hood kind of character, and that's what the other gentleman said, is that this is kind of based on Grimm fairy tales a little bit?
That's
or
correct.
A lot?
I'd say a lot, actually. So the name of our company is called Grimm Bros, and it's because simply no other company out there is kind of dedicating itself to going back to the old school fairy tales, the ones about like, incest, cannibalism, madness, rape, animalism. Like, there's some really crazy shit in the old ones, and no one actually is touching it. It's all whitewashed, right? Just like Disney. And we think that's stupid. But there's nothing really creative about just going back and just making a game based exactly verbatim on the old fairy tales. So we use them as inspiration. So here we wanted to make Little Red Riding Hood, instead of a victim, kind of a sassy badass, right? But we also wanted to give her a flaw too. So she's a raging alcoholic, and she kind of has mental issues, right? She has memory loss, she has mood swings, and we think that flawed characters are really interesting. And so we added her to the world. We added Morgiana from the Tales of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. For potential future expansions, we'd love to put in Geppetto from Tales of Pinocchio. Not Pinocchio, but Geppetto himself, as like crazy old man, and Pinocchio's this kind of like Chucky. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of wonderful majesty that reflects human nature, dark majesty, that is missing from popular media. And games is a perfect medium to do it in. We listen to our community. If our community gives us good ideas, we put them in the game, and that's all we want to do is make great games that are fun and memorable.
All right, and one last question. You say this is currently out in like early release, or is this when is it going to be available?
This is our initial release. Our initial release came out on Steam, Humble Bundle for our PC, and then PSN for PS4, PS3, PS Vita. So the Sony versions are in need of a patch, and so that's going to be the extra chunky edition. And right now, the most up-to-date one is Steam and DRM free. This is our Community Chowdown 1.07 update. Lots of new content, new mechanics, new pets.
And this is out right now?
This is out right now, and we're doing a sale, 50% off. It's called Buy Our Shit Sale. And so the game's 50% off, so it's $9.99 right now until May 2nd. Extra chunky, we're going to be doing a staggered release per platform.
Cool, thank you very much.
Hey, sirs, thank you for having me.
Special thanks to Corsair. Check out their booth coverage for the new Cherry MX exclusive extremely fast switch. They've upgraded one of their old mice with a very nice infrared sensor, and we've got some pretty interesting technology going on with the Lua scripting on some of their keyboards. So check out the booth coverage, and also if you're at PAX, stop by and see us at their booth Sunday, 2 o'clock. Be there or be a dodecahedron.